The Black Pearl tungsten mine was discovered in 1914, with mining starting the following year. Beginning as a small operation, the miners worked the exposed vein with primitive methods, hand drilling, sorting, then moving the ore by mule down the mountain. It was then loaded into a truck and driven 57 miles to Prescott. From 1915 to 1933, the Black Pearl produced 62,000 pounds of tungsten. The final stint of the Black Pearl lasted only 5 years, beginning in 1951. The road up the mountain was improved, new housing and a blacksmith shop was constructed, and underground workings continued. Originally, the ore was hauled west to be processed at the mill of the Hillside Mine, but after poor results, they found it was not suitable and moved the milling process to the Tungstona Mine. Next stop, the Hillside Mine. Discovered in March 1887 by John Lawler, the Hillside Mine was producing ore July of the same year, chasing a vein of gold, silver, zinc, and lead. From 1887 to 1892, over 7,000 feet of underground workings, a stamp mill, and an 84-mile road to Seligman was built. Upon the death of Lawler in 1917, the mine closed until 1934 when the property was purchased. During the later 1930s and 1940s, underground workings increased to over 16,000 feet at different levels. The mill site also expanded in size and capabilities, adding flotation tanks and a gravity concentrator to further refine the ore. After the mine closed in 1951, the mill continued to operate until 1954, using water from the flooded mine shafts when Boulder Creek ran dry. In 2013, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality found that the Hillside Mine had been discharging roughly 5 gallons per minute of contaminated water into Boulder Creek. A year later, extensive work began moving and isolating the contaminated tailings into a special membrane and liner. In 2018, the owner of the Hillside Mine was to pay over $5 million in fines. The mill site of Signal is in the next valley. Time to make up some ground. The small milling town of Signal was built along the Big Sandy River in 1876 to process the ore of nearby claims, mainly from the McCracken mines to the west. Once home to several hundred people, the town got its own post office, school, saloons, and even a brewery. It didn't last long though. By 1888, the mines had shut down. Signal was nearly deserted by 1932, with one last mining attempt during the 1950s, when miners lived in the abandoned buildings and ruins. Now, off to the McCracken mine. Discovered by Jackson McCracken in 1874, the McCracken silver mine saw years of sporadic activity. The richest were between 1875 to 1881, making up to $200,000 per month. Since there was no water around the mine, drinking water was brought in and the ore was hauled to mills along the Big Sandy River. Eventually, the town of Signal was built to meet the high demand. After the McCracken was sold, numerous attempts had been made to resume mining, the last being in the 1950s. Now, time to spend Thanksgiving with the best people there are, my parents. After Thanksgiving, I gave the foreigner a much needed service and look over before heading back out. The Klondike mine was discovered around 1898 and worked until the early 1900s, pulling nearly 4,500 pounds of ore from the ground. Shortly after the underground workings were exhausted, the tailings were processed with cyanide to extract the remaining gold before remaining vacant until 1995. A large-scale operation was put in place with more modern equipment to further work the old Klondike, Golden Door, and Dixie Queen mines, generating millions of dollars that primitive mining methods were unable to exploit. Discovered by two prospectors in 1892, the Goldbug mine produced rich gold ore up until 1908 when the miners suddenly left and the property sat idle. In the 1930s, efforts resumed for a short period, further developing both infrastructure and underground workings. The last activity was during the 1980s. The headframe was rebuilt, the vertical shaft had new timber set, and a mill and cyanide leach facility was constructed on site. Mining at the Goldbug came to an end in 1988. The plan was to camp and continue exploring the next day, but with temperatures in the 30s mixed with gusty winds, the choice to head home was an easy decision. Until next time.